Hi! It's been a while. Over 8 months to be exact. I am not getting better at these hiatuses. How am I? Not well. We'll leave it at that. I can't promise to make more videos regularly, but I can promise to make more videos. How does that sound? No, but for real though, I do have something planned. As long as I don't chicken out on it, all should be well. So why am I here today? I recently made a choose your own adventure series on TikTok, complete with 28 choices and one hidden true ending. I had a lot of fun making it, and somewhere between 70 to 200 people saw it, which is pretty good viewership for me. If you're not in the TikTok scene, I've included a link to it here. If there's enough requests, I can upload it to YouTube, but that's a lot of videos. I highly recommend you check it out first before you watch this video because there will be spoilers. Anyway, because I am self-congratulatory, I wanted to host a project post-mortem and walk you through my process. So if someone wanted to do something similar, they would have the necessary tools and maybe some inspiration. Speaking of which, what was my inspiration? I've always loved interactive adventures on YouTube, specifically Wheezy Waiter's Christmas Adventure and Markiplier's A Heist with Markiplier. I may have pulled a few things from them. Clones, hidden endings, highly unusual timelines, that sort of thing. Jesus Christ, what are you doing up there? And why do you have to do it now? That's why I had originally written this to be a YouTube adventure. It was going to center around my lack of commitment to a project as I chased my clones around the house. But in an ironic twist, I abandoned the project. As wild as it sounds, it was just a bit too ambitious and a little bit too soul-bearing. Each of my clones represented an abandoned project, and I had to reconcile with each one and promise that I would finish the project. Eventually. Obviously, projects get abandoned for a variety of reasons. And there's one project that I definitely don't want to see the light of day, so I left it all at the wayside. But then one day, a thought came. I always try to make my YouTube videos so serious, but you know what isn't serious? TikTok. I don't have to make it so emotional on TikTok. So I started a rewrite. Of course, it required some major overhaul because of the 60-second time limit, but there were a few elements I managed to keep. The last surviving clone was named Katie after a character in one of my abandoned projects. Her Deus Ex Machina followed her. The mysterious sound and snack options were major timeline deciders, and the keyword cipher explanation was word for word the exact same. I just changed the keyword. I also added a rap battle. I don't know why. Whose idea was that? Now, in order to actually write this, I had to use something that would help me visually see the pathways but was still easily editable. I came across this application called Twinery. I think it's supposed to be used for text-based adventures, but the thing that I really liked was that you could visually move the pieces around and see where different pathways could lead. Here, you can see why YouTube's web got so complicated in comparison to TikTok's tree. I started writing YouTube's adventure in late July, early August, and started retooling the current adventure in October. So when Katie says it took you 3 months to write this adventure, it was not an exaggeration. After struggling to be a decent writer for 3 months, next came the fun part. The self-tapes. I love self-tapes. This is sarcasm. I hate self-tapes. The modern actor's life is self-tapes, and I strangely miss audition rooms. Who'da thunk? But what is online media if not a collection of self-tapes with varying levels of professionalism? Anyway, since I was essentially filming 29 scenes by myself, I had to get organized. So, in classic Tina fashion, I made a crappy spreadsheet. I'm not too well versed in the film world, but I believe this is what they call a shot list. I organized it by location, so I could set up the camera in one place, film all the scenes I needed there, and then move on to the next location. This step took 3 days, plus a little extra because I goofed up a couple of the split scenes and delayed doing my laundry. Pro tip, if you're going to film yourself, memorize your lines. This may seem like obvious information, but having 29 minutes of self-dialogue is a lot harder than it looks. In an ideal world, all of the scenes would have been one take scenes. I managed to get some like this, but there were a few where I had to resort to using jump cuts because I could not remember what my next line was. I managed to get some like this, but there were a few where I had to resort to using jump cuts because I could not remember what I had to say next. Exhibit A. Anyway, memorize your lines. It'll make editing you so much happier. Also, review your footage. I don't know if this is obvious information, but review it. Because I was filming with my phone's back camera, I had very little feedback on where I was within the shot. There were a few scenes where I had to reshoot or work around in editing because I was just so blatantly out of frame. Review it while you're still filming so editing you can be happier later. In general, make it as easy as you can for editing you. Then came the editing. This took about a week and a half on and off. Now, as much as I boast to my friend about having sick editing skills, I'm actually not very good at editing. I'm actually kind of bad at editing. I'm probably not the expert to go to for editing tips, but I'm the person to go to for organization tips. Write down a list of your scenes and timestamps of where they are in your project. Thanks to TikTok's aforementioned 60-second time limit, it was pretty easy to assign each option to 1 minute on my editing timeline. Also, try to work on one thing at a time if you can. I tried to start at the top of the tree and work my way down the branches that way, but I also prioritized scenes that had similar locations because my files looked like this. This conveniently worked out to where I would edit most of the clone and glitch branches together and then the chores and snack branches together. Perfect. And that's the basics of it. I don't think you want to hear about the rendering and transferring part because even I don't want to hear about that. It'll probably be easier if you have hardware that can easily sync with each other, but I have a Windows laptop and an iPhone. Yeah. Here were details that were specific to me. You can use your own specific details to create your own unique adventure if you're doing that, or if you're just watching this for fun, I don't know. I love time loops. The YouTube version had some hardcore time loops that I unfortunately couldn't keep, but the spirit of it remains an oddly repetitive dialogue.
But you could put magic powder. Right.
That makes the most sense
because
that makes the most sense.
Since TikTok is a platform that loops your videos, I also used a glitch sound to create an audio loop. I created the pathway to a secret ending using a keyword cipher and tinyurl.com. Tinyurl lets you make a custom URL, which is super helpful for things like this. I've used it in the past to make Google Forms super easy to find for Asian student organization back when I was planning events. Remember when we could have events? You could also just use whatever your secret endings URL is, but whichever way you choose to go, you're going to need to know what your link is prior to creating your secret phrase. And as for the keyword cipher, I just really like it. It's a 2-part puzzle. It's really fun. There's a ton of ciphers out there. Pick your favorite. Drop more hints than you think is necessary. Hypothetically, if someone was really clever, they could have solved this puzzle by day 3 of 7. I gave them the keyword, the video thumbnails gave every letter after the tinyurl domain, and I had a link in my new link tree, which would have led them to, that's right, a keyword cipher decoder. But people won't pick up on that right away. So you've got to drop more hints than necessary. Explain the keyword cipher, tell them about the link tree link, always tell them to go back because they missed something. And just for fun, add one last video telling them that all the pieces were hidden in plain sight. Because they were. If I were to do this again, I would probably make it more obvious that there is a hidden ending. I ended up in a comment discourse with someone who thought they found the secret ending but really didn't, and I know because I can see when the views for the true ending change. To be honest, I don't know how I would do it. I would probably just be like, hey, there's a hidden ending. Did you find the hidden ending? Which is a little bit what I'm doing right now, but I don't know. I think it's really hard, especially on TikTok, to encourage your audience to change platforms. If you look at the number of followers big TikTok creators have in comparison to, say, their YouTube or their Instagram, you can see how few people leave TikTok. That's also why I have 2,400 followers on TikTok, but just barely 40 subscribers on YouTube. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I had a lot of fun making this, and it also kind of inspired a lot of things I wanted to do, both on YouTube and on TikTok. So I'll be back soon. In the meantime, why not share my channel with a friend? I'd really like to get to 50 subscribers. And if you have a burning question, please ask in the comments. I rarely get YouTube comments, so it'd be nice to talk to people. YouTube thing. Ring that bell for notifications, because who knows when I'll be back. It'll be soon, I promise. I hope. I can't promise. I hope. I'll be back soon. Okay, bye!